What is up, everybody? I wanted to talk about the Fantastic Four First Steps today. It's been a couple days since I've seen it. I saw it opening day, and I was very curious about this movie. Mostly because Marvel, as everyone is well aware, has been just in a slump. I thought Thunderbolts was solid movie from a few months ago, but I was very curious about this one. It's a reboot of Fantastic Four, and I kind of really like all the actors who are in this film in terms of the main cast. So I was excited to see what these characters are all about. As someone who years ago watched Fan Four Stick and tried watching the 2000s Fantastic Four movies a couple months ago, that I got 30 minutes of that first movie and I just decided I'm not really into this. So I was very curious going into this, what it's all gonna be about, and I've come out of it pretty positive. While I was watching it, I was a little mixed about it, and I've kind of like toyed with it in my head for the last couple days. And my biggest takeaway is I kind of just absolutely love these characters, regardless of how they're portrayed in the film. I'm kind of like a sucker for the Avengers slash like just a group of people coming together to make a team and they have to accomplish something. I just kind of love that in a lot of film and like superhero content is just people coming together and they make a team and they work together. And here I think the team is pretty cool. So obviously here on the banner we got Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, and I think he does a really good job. I happened to pair this with Eddington, the new Ari Aster film. I watched these both in the same day, like back to back. I watched this first, and I think Pedro Pascal works really well in this role. I've seen a lot of stuff online about people kind of not upset, but just annoyed that he doesn't really use his powers that much. And to be honest, I'm actually kind of fine with that because I feel like stretching and weird shit. Stretching it would look fucking weird, like if overused. And I kind of really like this because since I barely know anything about Fantastic Four, I kind of forgot, and I did know this before that Reed Richards is more of he's just like a really smart guy, and I kind of like that whole aspect of him just like pondering and thinking over a lot of stuff and trying to make it so that there's a good outcome here. I think the thing in this film is really good. I think my biggest thing is I wish this movie was a little longer, if anything. I think The Thing, I think Human Torch, they're both really good in this movie, but I wish they were in it a bit more. Um, but for the most part, they're great. Sue Storm, I think, is the standout in terms of what's going on. I really thought she was great in this film, and I really loved her addition in the film, and just her actually being an actual character, considering what I've seen of Fantastic Four before. And yeah, the next thing I kind of want to talk about is the overall plot and how I feel like a lot of people have been talking about this movie cutting a lot from the trailers. Now, a lot of times the trailers I kind of just forget about them, and I only think I saw one trailer for this, so I didn't really know. But yeah, if there's it's interesting. There's a bunch of cut content, and I'm curious like why that was because for what's here, I think it's kind of a bit messy, and I wish there was a bit more to see in this movie. I really think the plot is a little like it's a little clunky. I think that's my biggest thing is the plot here is a bit clunky in its like progression. I think a lot of times that led to me at least watching it. I did get like I was a little bored a few times just because I was just kind of like, what's going on here? I think the first act is a good setup for everything going on. I really loved the second act of this movie. I think them going out to space to find Galactus. I guess I'm spoiling things, but the second act of this movie is really fucking good. I absolutely loved it. I think Marvel's also struggled a lot with like visual effects and just like making CGI stuff look good. And here, I think the movie actually did look pretty good. And like, I think those scenes specifically in the second act really show this. And yeah, that brings me to Galactus. Galactus is great. I think he's a great villain. I think overall in the plot, I really love this idea of character who is this being that you can't defeat. That basically the Fantastic Four are kind of like, we're fucked and we don't know what to do, but they're able to somehow figure it out. And Galactus has this screen presence, especially in the second act. Seeing this in a theater was excellent with like just great booming sound and just kind of just great. Everything was just great about him, and I loved his screen presence during the second act, and even in the final act. I think he has a really great presence that makes him really menacing, and he's a really good villain. And honestly, just my main thing is like everything in this film, like all the Fantastic Four stuff. I'm like, I want more of this. I'm trying to look into different comic runs and stuff because I kind of want to read about Fantastic Four and learn more about these characters, especially in a way that's supposed to be good in comparison to like the previous film iterations. But Galactus is really cool. Silver Surfer is really cool. Really liked that. I've always known about Silver Surfer as a character, but I've never really known like their purpose and like what the point they are. Like, are they a villain? And it's like they're really not a villain, so it was kind of cool to see that here in this film. Uh, I like how the movie's not really that funny. It doesn't really try to go into the Marvel quip sort of thing. I like that. I liked how, and the action here is pretty like, I would say like there isn't like a ton of action. I mean, there's an action sequence in Act 2 and there's a action sequence in Act 3, but I wouldn't say this movie is like full of action, which I'm honestly fine with because I liked the character interactions and I liked all just the characters interacting with each other and just everything going on with that. The next thing I guess to end on is the direction here. I think Matt Shackman does a pretty good job directing this movie. Did a good job directing this movie. Recently, I've been watching a lot of It's Always Sunny, so it's been kind of weird seeing this guy who was directing It's Always Sunny episodes doing this kind of thing, and I know he's kind of in the Marvel thing. And I'm kind of happy that they got someone like this doing it as opposed to like John Watts, who was originally supposed to direct this movie like years ago when they announced it. Because I feel like Matt Shackman, especially with like WandaVision, that had a sense of style. I'm happy that this movie does have a sense of style and it's very vibrant as this thing says here against a vibrant backdrop of 1960s. I like the last thing also I really like is the lack of it being a like technically connected to things. I mean, it is connected, but it's also its own universe. I like that this movie will can forever be, regardless of what happens in the future, it can be like an independent film that you can just watch on its own. That's pretty cool. I just remembered the end credits scene. I kind of thought it was like I'm very curious how this movie will fit into this upcoming Avengers movie that every day keeps looking more and more like a mess. But yeah, Fantastic Four. I feel like this 7 out of 10 might be a bit generous. I might go down to a 6, but for the most part, I'm really happy with this movie. I was a bit mixed when I was watching it, but as time has gone on, I just think the characters of the Fantastic Four are pretty cool, really cool stuff. I'm excited to see these characters in different capacities. I'm kind of hoping they are able to make another one that's kind of more grounded like this because I think that's the biggest thing is I like this as independent and I do like that I'll be able to see these characters in more films, but I'm also kind of like maybe just keep doing Fantastic Four movies on their own. Like that would be kind of cool. But Fantastic Four first steps. I mean it's Marvel, so if you don't like Marvel shit, you won't enjoy this probably. But as someone who is willing to give any Marvel thing a chance, even the really fucking awful ones, this was fun and I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Yeah, Fantastic Four first steps. Go see it if you want. Yeah, these are just my thoughts. Yeah.